Today we'll learn about some radian measure. It's just another way to express an angle. So there's one, you could express an angle as radians or as degrees, vice versa, not both. So what we're going to learn today is how to convert from degrees to radians and from radians to degrees. All right, so to convert from degrees to radians, you're simply going to multiply by pi over 180. So let's convert 30 degrees to radian measure. Multiply by pi over 180, and then multiply straight across the numerator, and straight across the denominator. Just remember the denominator 30 is 1. And now we'll just have to simplify our fractions. So we have a common factor here of 30. 180 divided by 30 is 6. Therefore, 30 degrees is equivalent to pi over 6 radians. Let's convert 225 degrees to radian measure. Now, the last example worked out pretty easily because 30 and 180, you found a common factor pretty easily. So let's convert 225 degrees to radian measure. So we're going to multiply by pi over 180. 225 times pi over 180 is 225 pi over 180. Now, things like this can get a little difficult to simplify, so just for turnover rate, just for speedness, if you want, you can sit here and reduce this by hand, but for speed, let's just do 225 divided by 180. Oh, missed the divided by button. Divided by 180, and express it as a decimal, but let's convert this back to a fraction by pushing math, fraction. And then it'll tell you 5 over 4. So now, that means 225 over 180 is 5 over 4. So this is 5 pi over 4. So whatever you get in your calculator, just stick a pi in the numerator. So 5 pi over 4 is equivalent to 225 degrees. 5 pi over 4 radians is equivalent to 225 degrees. You're not plugging in 3.14 for pi, although that is its value. 5 pi over 4 radians is left in pi form. All right, let's convert from radians to degrees. So in order to convert from radians to degrees, you're just going to substitute 180 for pi. So let's convert 3 pi over 2 radians to degree measure. 3 pi over 2 radians, substitute 180 for pi, and then clean it up. So we have 180 divided by 2 is 90. And 90 times 3 is 270. So 270 degrees is equivalent to 3 pi over 2 radians. Let's convert 11 pi over 12 to degree measure. So substitute 180 degrees for pi and clean it up. So let's multiply 11 and 18, which is 198, so 1980 divided by 12, and then simplify your fraction. Again, if you're having trouble simplifying, 1980 divided by 12, and that gives you 165 degrees. So 165 degrees is equivalent to 11 pi over 12 radians. So now you may be saying to yourself, like, man, pi's not equal to 180. What's going on here? I always thought pi was 3.14. Well, it is. What you're really doing to convert from radians to degrees is multiplying by 180 over pi. But if I wanted to convert pi over 2 to degree measure, what we're really doing is multiplying by 180 over pi. This is really what you're doing. 180 over pi is 1 radian. So 180 over pi, if you notice, you'll always get a canceling pi. So procedurally, what's really going on here? You're kind of just substituting 180 for pi. And then 180 over 2, 90 degrees. So really what you're doing, you're multiplying by 180 over pi, but because you'll always end up with canceling pi's, it's just easier to say substitute 180 for pi. So the value of pi is still 3.14. If you were to divide these two, that's the equivalent of 1 radian. So that's how you convert from radians to degrees and from degrees to radians.